Two, one. All right, hey guys, here I am back, Ryan Stock again. This podcast kind of is coming at a difficult time for a lot of people all around the world, obviously, that suffer with depression. It seems like it's on the rise. And something that kind of made me want to just kind of do this podcast is the fact that there's a lot of silent killers, and I've said this before in some of the podcasts you've seen it before. And one of those big ones is depression, and something that myself and a lot of people I know have kind of struggled with and have been able to overcome. But that's not the case with everybody. And if you haven't seen the previous podcasts, when I was 16 years old, my best friend killed himself. He committed suicide, and it was one of those things, like I've said in previous podcasts and the other podcasts I did about depression, which is a very good look if you want to go back and kind of look at that and get a little more in depth about kind of how that all worked for me and how I overcame that part. I think it's a good interpretation of where I'm coming from and my side of the story of depression and kind of where I've been with it. And why I'm doing this podcast today, why it kind of came up was we were planning on doing another podcast with a guest, but this one came up because a comedian, a stand-up comedian, which a lot of people, if you don't know that, I'm a very, very big fan of stand-up comedy. I've done it myself. It was a lot of fun to do. I did it for about 6 months. I didn't do anything crazy, but it was one of those things that I really love and I enjoy, and I watch all the time. And there was a stand-up comedian that unfortunately he passed away, and the looks of it right now is that it was suicide, and that's Brody Stevens. There will be a picture at the end, kind of with a little memorial for him, and it just kind of scares me as a person to know that there's somebody out there that was so outgoing. He was in front of crowds, basically every weekend doing late shows and stuff in California, and it just scares me that somebody like that is hurting so bad inside, and nobody knows it. And I know that Nick Swartz and Patton Oswalt and some of his friends that have known him for quite a long time have tried to help him. I know that there was a post from Nick Swartz saying that they reached out a couple of years ago and tried to help him when he kind of went into a downward spiral, and that they thought that he was coming back. And the big thing about depression and kind of suicidal thoughts and this stuff is that nobody knows besides you. So if you're suffering, nobody really knows that. And maybe we can tell every now and then that you're kind of a little bit sad today or but a lot of times when we're depressed, at least for myself, is we do things to cope with it and kind of cover it up, whether that's kind of being outgoing. For me, unfortunately, it was drinking and kind of going out and feeling like I needed to tell everybody that I was having a good time or show everybody I was having a good time to kind of mask that feeling, but really it just made it worse in the end. And so I think that what we can do as people is just speak up. And if you're hurting, you're feeling suicidal, you're depressed, something in your life's not going the way you want, just tell somebody. And don't be afraid of what people are going to think, because I think a lot of times people think that suicidal thoughts or depression or something like this is looked upon as weak, or that people will think less of you, and that's not the case at all, especially nowadays, because it is so rampant, with school shootings and stuff like this and all these other things that are happening, suicides. Mental health is a big issue right now in our country, and I'm sure all across the world, but this is just kind of, this Brody Stevens story is something that kind of really just kind of touched home, and it kind of brought back a lot of those feelings that I had when I lost my friend at a young age. And I feel for all his friends, his family, all of his fans, so condolences to him and to everybody around him. And it's a very hard thing to deal with, and it's very sad when you could help somebody, and unfortunately they just didn't either have the courage or the well-being, whatever it was, to speak out and kind of reach out and try to get over this, because suicide, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And by meaning that is, once you're gone, you're gone. There's no real coming back from that. But these feelings that we have where we're sad and we're burdened and life's not going the way we want to, that all passes with time, and we just have to be strong and know that we're going to get through it, and that the people closest to us are going to be there for us. They're not going to turn their back on us when we start, quote unquote, being weak or whatever you want to, think that mental health is. It's not a weakness. It's something that everybody goes through from time to time, and some people, unfortunately, deal with it a little more seriously, and it affects them a little more seriously than others. And some people can kind of go to bed and get over it, and some people can, they have to take pills or do therapy or whatever it is to soothe that in them. And so I feel like we can step up and tell somebody that we're feeling down or out, we're just not where we want to be in life, and that we can that we can step up and show that you don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to go through this alone. That everybody around you is going to be there to help you with, in one way or another. And if you're not feeling like somebody around you is going to help you, whether it's your family, your spouse, your friends, coaches, whatever, there's so many options of people that you can go to. But if you feel like none of those options suit you, or you feel like you don't want to tell anybody close to you because, again, you're going to feel that they're going to judge you or think differently of you, there's a bunch of different ways to reach out and speak to people privately, on your own, where you're just going to have a conversation with somebody, and you're just going to kind of tell them what's going on. They're going to kind of try to help you through it. And basically what you're doing is you're telling somebody in private, like a diary, but the diary's kind of writing back to you, and it's kind of trying to help you as best as it can, or send you in the right direction to get the best help as possible for the situation they're kind of going through. And so, again, if you don't feel like you can talk to anybody close to you, there is a line that you can call, and the number is 1-800-273-8255. And that is the 24-hour, suicide, depression hotline. It's, if you're feeling sad, you're feeling suicidal, any of that thing, reach out. Don't be afraid to step up, because your whole family, everybody's going to miss you, and we don't want to lose anybody unnecessarily for something that was preventable, or that we can help you get over as a group, or just a one-on-one, whatever it is. There's definitely ways to get past this stuff. And again, if you don't want to text, or you don't want to call anybody, you can text. And there's a 24-hour text line that you can text, and you can just go to crisistextline.org. That's CRISISTEXTLIN.org. And then again, you don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to hear anybody's voices. You can just text and just kind of get your thoughts out, or whatever it is, kind of get it off your chest. And again, I know when I went through my bout of depression, I didn't tell anybody, because it was something I thought maybe I can get over by myself. And really, I couldn't do it by myself, because I was just letting myself get into bad habits of drinking excessively, drinking regularly, just doing things that now I'm not really happy I did, but I'm proud that I went through that and got through it, and that with honestly the people around me, I got through a lot of that. And I didn't know at the time that I was getting through it. I just thought that I was kind of trying to take my mind off of it. And by doing that, I started setting goals, making plans of things I wanted to do, and just kind of really figuring out who I was as a person, and what I wanted to do at that point in time. And again, everything changes in life. Sometimes you might be happy about your job, your girlfriend, whatever, and then sometimes you're not. And if you become more unhappy with something than you are happy with it, then you got to figure out a way to get rid of that and get that out of your life. And for me, that was drinking. Again, that's something that, just as a person, I use as kind of a crutch, and something that I kind of took advantage of. And not everybody does. Some people do. Cope correctly, or with positive means of coping. And just for me at the time, that wasn't really an option until I kind of really figured out that training and all that stuff, and what I was really missing in my life, and what the hole in my kind of life was that was causing that depression. And again, I set goals. I kind of made a big goal, and then I made little goals to make that big goal happen. And I say make a goal to a lot of people because, whether it's changing your job, whether it's, it could be moving, breaking up with your girlfriend, finding new friends, whatever it is, that you think is going to help you or change, you for the better. Make steps that are make steps that are viable options that are realistic. You can't just be like, I want to win the lottery, so my goal is to win the lottery, and I'm going to buy a lottery ticket every week, and then expect to win the lottery and be a millionaire. There's reasonable goals and realistic goals, and then there's obviously unrealistic goals like winning the lottery. It's one of those things that I think is a good example. There's goals like wanting to be a teacher for me. And I figured out what the steps were to be a teacher, to teach martial arts, and I took those steps, and now here I am, I'm teaching, and I'm the happiest I've ever been, really doing all this stuff and trying to reach out and kind of trying to make light of these situations and make people not so worried or so scared to speak out about how they feel and what they think, and the times that they're down, because everybody has down times, and sometimes it's worse for other people than it is for others, and everybody has a way out. We just got to kind of figure out the way to kind of dig yourself out of those holes, or those weak moments in our life where we kind of feel down and like everything's against us. And everybody has those, again, and so you're not alone if you do feel those. So don't be afraid to speak up and be like, hey, this relationship's not going the way I want it to. This job's not doing the things I want it to do. Whatever it is, just speak up and figure out a way to make it better for yourself. And you might need help with figuring that out. And so you might have to speak up and ask somebody else, hey, do you have any ideas on things that I could do or change, or, anything that can be a positive aspect on your life and make you, move forward and kind of not get stuck in that mud per se. And again, this is a silent killer. So if you're feeling suicidal, you're feeling depressed, speak up, please. Just please tell somebody, anybody, because again, we don't see that you're hurting. We see that you have, sad days every now and then or whatever, but we don't really know what it's like inside your head and what you're battling deep down inside you and in your thoughts. Because something for me that kind of beat me down a lot in life is is negative thoughts toward myself or towards what I was doing, and not believing that it can get better, and kind of just digging myself in that rut of having that negative thought, and one negative thought goes into another and another and another, and it kind of snowballs into just a big hole of depression that you can't really find your way out of. And I think that you can set goals and you can make groups, you can make a meeting once a week where you talk to your friends about something, or something's bothering you. Like you can do certain things, and don't be afraid to step out of your bubble and express yourself to people, and tell people what you think and how you feel and where you're at in your life and where you want to go. And if you don't know where you want to go, try to figure that out. Just figure out what you love to do, what makes you happy, what you think you can do for the next 3 months. And if it works for 3 months and you're happy, try another 3 months. And if not, try something new. Don't be afraid to fail and go out there and try new things and get out of your own thought and your own rhythm and your own little funk. Again, because we can only help each other, and the only way I can help you or you could help me is if you said something to me that you needed that help. And sometimes people, they might not really realize that they need help, or that they're really getting that bad or that much of a funk. And so, the best thing that I think we can do is we can just check our friends, our loved ones, anyone that we think might be down and out that could use a positive, outlook on life, or just a little bit of encouragement to, keep going, do a little, that what you're doing is good enough, and that we don't have to always try to be the best, whatever it is that we're always trying to get, to be more and more and more, that we can be happy with who we are and build on who we are as a person and do things that we enjoy. Because nowadays, there's a lot of options to do things in life, and whether it's, like here doing a podcast, whether it's selling t-shirts, whether it's being a nurse, a doctor, whatever it is, there's so many different things you can do in life that you shouldn't pigeonhole yourself, and get out there. And if you're stuck in a job that you don't like, but you have an idea of something that maybe you would enjoy doing, just take the steps to try to do that, and make that a goal to at least attempt it. And don't be afraid to fail, because a lot of times in life we're going to fail the first time we try anything. And it's all about falling and getting back up, right? It's not about all the times you fell, but it's about all the times you got back up and you learn from those falls and you learn how to catch yourself and you know what went wrong, what you shouldn't have done, what you should have done a little better, and you can always apply those to the next thing. So if you're gonna try goals or anything like this, and you're gonna really want to stick to these, and you're really gonna make them realistic and make it a bigger goal that we can make little goals to get to that achievement. And I think that's what really helped me a lot was coming to the gym and getting out and knowing that there's people that wanted to hang out with me and that wanted to learn from me and that there's people that wanted to help me kind of get out of that funk and do better for myself. And at the time, I didn't really know that there was people that wanted to do that. Like I knew my family and everybody wants you happy and everybody, you know, but when it comes down to it, you kind of worried everybody has their own problems. And so you don't want to be, again, another burden or, you know, be thought of less because, you know, you're trying to project your problems on somebody else. Um, Step up and tell people. Tell them how you feel, where you're at. Just don't be afraid to be yourself and express yourself from deep down inside because nobody knows those deep, dark thoughts that are in your head that kind of keep pushing you down, pushing you down. And if you speak up on those thoughts and you tell people like, hey, you know, I kind of think negatively of myself because of this, you know, maybe somebody can give you advice on how to help with changing that or just give you good advice or just, you know, kind of letting you realize that like you're perfect the way you are and that you don't always necessarily have to make everybody else happy. You got to kind of make yourself happy. And the only way to make yourself happy is by figuring out what that is that makes you happy, if that makes sense. You know, whether it's, for me, it's teaching, whether it's, you know, going to the gym, whether it's, you know, studying at night, learning the new language, you know, whatever it is that you want to try, you want to do, that it's going to make you kind of get out of this funk, do it. And there's no real cheating in life. So if there's anything that you're going to do in life that makes you happy and makes your life worth living, do that. Don't be afraid of what other people think because they're not living for you, right? Everybody's going to judge you and you're always going to have haters, you're always going to have naysayers, and you're always going to have people that tell you it's not going to work. But at the end of the day, you're never going to know if you don't try yourself. So get off your own butt and try it. Get out there and don't be so sad for yourself and pity yourself. Get out there and try some stuff. And I know it sucks and I know it's hard to hear when you're down and out, like don't pity myself. But what I mean is you can get out there and you can try new things. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. It's not going to work most of the times for the first time, but try it again. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Keep trying things over and over. Again, speak out. Tell somebody you're not feeling yourself. You know, you're in a funk. You can't get out of it. There's something wrong. There's just something not clicking right with you, and your funk is just one of those ones you can't get out of this time. And I've been there. You know, I gained a bunch of weight. I did a lot. You know, I did a lot of drinking, and I just couldn't figure out how to get myself out of that. And I actually had somebody, and unbeknownst to them, kind of push me out of that funk and kind of get the wheels turning. So if you have a friend, family member, somebody that you think might be down and out, don't be afraid to ask them, like, hey, is everything good? And if they say yeah, ask them again. Be like, no, for real, like, is everything okay with you? Life, job, everything, like, because the only way that we're going to help prevent these sad cases like Brody Stevens, Chris Cornell, is by speaking up and helping each other. And there's only one way to help each other, is by asking or by telling. You know, so ask your friends, is everything good? Everybody good today? You know, like, what's going on in life? You know, is there anything you need to talk about? You want to talk about something you want to get off your chest? And on the opposite side, if they're not going to ask, tell them, like, hey man, today I'm in a funk and I just can't get out of it. It's been like this for like a week or a month or whatever. And express yourself. Tell them what's kind of getting you down, and if you don't know, just kind of talk through it. You know, work yourself through it, and find the things that have been bugging you and that are keeping you down and that make you not happy, and try to get rid of those out of your life. And whether it's by making a goal of, I want a new job and I got to take these steps to do this to get a new job, take those steps and do that goal. Or whether it's, you know, as simple as just, you know, I don't like my car. You know, I want to buy a new car. Figure out the steps of what it's going to take you to get a new car, how you're going to get the money to get that car, you know, all these things that there's, and then that sets you goals of things to keep your mind off of, you know, the sad thoughts in your head, or the negative thoughts that have kind of been branded in your head over, you know, just whether it's social media or whatever it is. Everybody has some kind of a negative thought every now and then in their head, and some people can't get out of that. And so just think that you can get out of these funks by trying to make these little goals and figuring out what it is that makes you down and out and depressed, and kind of makes you not, want to be around anymore. Try to figure that out. And if you can't do it yourself, talk to somebody. Again, express it, get it off your chest, and don't be afraid to tell your friends, your family. Again, the crisis line is 1-800-273-8255. And the 24-hour text line is crisistextline.org. CRISTEXTLIN.org. And let's bring light and bring a voice to these silent killers, because that's what they are. They're silent killers, and they're killing people from the inside, and we don't know it. And it's slowly, silently killing people from inside and out. And we see it all the time. It's unfortunate. We see it from poverty, from poor all the way up into, now, rich, semi-rich people that you think are happy because they have the money or whatever it is. And that's not what makes people happy. It's a lot of things that go into being depressed, and that kind of snowball into that. And I think that if we kind of talk more, or, take therapy or whatever it is, and therapy can just be you expressing yourself, again, on the crisis line, or texting, or just talking to your friends, your family, anybody that you know that you trust in, that you feel that they're going to give you good advice. And again, if you don't feel like there's anybody close to you, use one of these crisis lines, and just don't be afraid to speak out. And just let's try to prevent as much as possible of these silent killers and these unnecessary and unwanted suicides, because honestly it hurts, and bringing this back up hurts me a lot, just kind of thinking about it, and knowing what all of Brody's friends and family and everybody and his fans and everybody's kind of going through, because it touches home. Because again, like, I lost my friend when I was young, and it just brings up a lot of those feelings that I had. And we always wish we could have done more for our friend, and if you've never been in that situation, there's always that, like, I wish he would have told me, and again, I'm never going to know if you're hurting, or nobody's ever going to know if you're hurting unless you say something. And don't be afraid to say it. I'm going to say that a million times in this podcast, is don't be afraid to speak out and express yourself, because I feel like that's what a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid of what people are going to think of them, or that they're going to be a burden. You're not a burden. Just know that you're not weak, you're not a burden on anybody, and that there is ways out of this, and we don't need to take a permanent solution to a temporary problem. We can get through it, whether it's cloudy for a day, a month, a year, whatever it is. Talk to somebody, and we can work our way through that. Again, you can always email us at wowlookatmenow@yahoo.com. You can write our Facebook page, our Instagram, whatever it is. Those are all going to be at the end. I kind of want to jump on this podcast, and do this, because this is it's such a tragic event that happened to somebody that made so many people laugh, and his life was really about bringing joy to others. And I think that Robin Williams said it, is that the people who bring the most joy to other people are usually the ones hurting the most, or something close to that quote. And unfortunately, Robin Williams was one of the guys that was the same way as Brody Stevens is. They were always out there and entertaining and being so energetic, and I think they do this so much to kind of keep themselves away from their bad thoughts, but eventually it's going to creep back, and you can't beat this by yourself. You might think you can, but you really can't. And I thought I could too, but I couldn't, and I didn't do it myself, and unbeknownst to me, I did it with the help of others. And that's just by kind of giving me encouragement and pushing me, kind of just making sure I was there, and that I was going to be accountable, and I was on time, and all these things. And so help your friends, and know that if you're trying to help your friend who is down and out, or depressed, suicidal, whatever, you're not hurting them anymore by trying to help them, right? You're only going to do good, and you're only going to show them that people care, and that we want to go out of our way to help each other, because that's all we really have is each other, right? Is your closest friends, family. Those are the only real people that you have, and the people that are really going to be there to hold you up when things get weak. So again, use the crisis lines, talk to a friend, email us, family, whatever it is. Just speak out, please. And let's try to prevent this as a group, or as a world and a nation, to prevent more unnecessary suicides for not only young but also old people as well. There's older people committing suicide now again, like Robin Williams, Brody Stevens. And there's young ones in the military. 20, 21, 22. They're always kind of killing themselves, and I feel like they don't feel like they have an outlet or a place to go. And so I want to bring an outlet to all these people and bring to light that they're not alone, and that there's a lot of people suffering, but we can only get better by getting out of our own heads and expressing ourselves. And so if you're stuck in your own head, you're stuck in a rut, whatever, just tell somebody, hey, I'm not myself, I need help. And I guarantee, there's somebody who's going to step up and help you. And again, if you don't feel like anybody near you or close to you is going to help you, use one of these crisis lines. And I'm going to post them at the end of the podcast right after I get done here in about, a minute or so. But I just want to say a big, it's a big condolence to Brody Stevens, the Comedy Store, all of his friends, family, fans, and just to anybody out there that is hurting right now. Just please get a hold of somebody, tell somebody. There's many, many ways to get over the feeling, and don't think that you've exercised all your resources of trying to get out of your funk and get out of this, depression or suicidal state, because there's so many more ways that maybe you haven't tried or thought of or done. Whether it's reaching out to one of your biggest idols or whatever that is, just reach out and speak to somebody, and somebody's going to be there to help you, or figure out a way to bring you to somebody that can help you. And there's always a way out, and we're lucky to be here, and I think this all the time, and I'm always so grateful to be alive and be doing the things that I'm capable of doing. And I think that we just need to bring light to people that you're great the way you are, okay? And just be happy for who you are and the things that you do. And, as long as you're not out hurting people or going out of your way to make people hurt or sorrow to anybody else, do whatever it is that's going to make you happy, all right? I think that's it. I'm probably just going to keep repeating myself over and over with the same kind of stuff. Just basically, again, tell somebody, speak out, reach out, ask and tell. Ask somebody if they're hurting. If you're hurting, tell somebody, because we don't know. It's a silent killer, and we really need to bring a voice to this. So I'm hoping that I can be one of the many voices that are going to bring light upon this, and some other really touchy or sensitive topics that are very important, that I don't think get enough attention, and that I'm definitely going to try to bring more attention to. And obviously there's a lot more causes and other things that are out there that people are struggling with, but really these are the ones that I kind of can personally touch on myself, and so I feel like these are the ones that I can kind of give back to. And so I hope that this message or any of the messages that I send out are help to at least one person, because if any of these videos just reaches one person and helps them and gets them to get out of their funk, or gets them to not commit suicide or hurt themselves or in any way, then I feel like I'm doing justice to myself and to the world. And I don't really want success from this podcast. I just want people to know that they're not alone, and that we all suffer and we all go through pain and we all have down times, but if we come together as a group, we can get over it and we can get through this together. And it might not be the easiest, and it might not take a day, it might take a year, 2 years, 3 years, but eventually we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it together. Thank you guys. I'm Ryan Stock, and I hope this podcast reached out to somebody. And like, comment, share, subscribe to our page. If you're hurting or somebody who is hurting, please watch this podcast, share this podcast with somebody. And again, the crisis lines are 1-800-273-8255, and the 24-hour text line is crisistextline.org. So that's CRISISTEXTLINE.org. Okay, let's bring a voice to the silence killers. Thank you, guys.